The time is now 6:02, and I would like to call this April 24th, 2023 ECPPS Board of Education meeting to order. I would like to call on Ms. Celeste Fergus Vasquez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, a moment of silence, please.
Good evening.
You may be seated.
Please sit down. Good evening. My name is Celeste Fergus Vasquez, and I am a fourth grader at J.C. Sawyer. I would like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance, which you already. I hope that you have a great meeting.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to call for a roll call vote.
Chair Spence,
Here.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Present.
Angela Cobb,
Here.
Tommy Old,
Present.
Pam Pereza,
Here.
Rodney Walton,
Here.
Sharon Warden, Holly Weiss is not here, and Gracie Wooten.
Here.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call on Mr. Rodney Walton to give us our ethics awareness statement.
Thank you. Welcome to the April 24th, 2023 meeting of the Elizabeth City Pasadena Board of Education. It is my duty to remind members of the board that it is your responsibility to avoid all conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest. In accordance with Chapter 138A of the North Carolina General Statutes. As public servants, it is your duty to continually monitor, evaluate, and manage your personal, financial, and professional affairs in such a way as to ensure the absence of conflicts or potential conflicts. Does any member know of any conflicts of interest or potential conflicts of interest with respect to any matter coming before the board today? With that being none, let the record reflect that no conflicts exist.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to now call for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Sheila Williams and a second from Mr. Rodney Walton to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
Angela Cobb,
Yes.
Tommy Old,
Yes.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton,
Yes.
Sharon Warden.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. I'd like to call on now Dr. Parker for the recognitions and instructional highlight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say good evening to everybody, and thank you for coming out to the meeting. We're very excited to recognize some amazing staff and young people here this evening. We want to start off by asking our Career and Technical Education Director, Ms. Sheila Hughes, to come forward and recognize some of her wonderful CTE staff that I'm already seeing right here on the front row, some of them. So, Ms. Hughes, thank you. Ms. Hughes Overton, thank you for joining us this evening and sharing some things. Thank you.
Good evening. Chair Spence, Vice Chair Williams, board members, good evening, and thank you for having CTE part of the recognition on this evening. I would like to first start out with just a quick snapshot as to why we're celebrating this evening. So last year, CTE had the opportunity to service 1,631 duplicated students, as compared to the year before of 1,465. We have met all of our performance indicators of 90% or greater on last year, except for English, math, and reading, as compared to the year before where we met all of our performance indicators. We also have a 90% graduation rate as compared to the state cohort of 86%. We have greater than 95% of our concentrator survey students to actually state that greater than 95% of positive performance is what I'm trying to say in reference to post-secondary education, advanced training, military, employment after graduation from high school. In our non-traditional area, we have 32.08% as compared to the state goal of 28.81% on last year. And the previous year, we were at 31.5% as compared to the state goal of 26.8%. And finally, as far as our credentials are concerned, we are at 57% on last year of credential attainment as compared to the state goal of 23.14%. So we have a lot to celebrate, and I will now like to just let you guys associate a face with a name of all of the working staff in CTE. I'm going to start with Ms. Courtney Simpson, who was our career development facilitator, and she is unable to make it today. We have Ms. Helga Brown, who was our curriculum and instruction management coordinator. She's our district support. And then we have Ms. Shanita Moore. Do you want to do a group picture? Okay. And then we have Ms. Shanita Moore, who is our special populations coordinator, and she's also district support. However they want to do it. And then we have Ms. Mary Grace Luton, who is our career development coordinator. She's also district support, and she supports Pasquotank County High School and Elizabeth City Middle School. And then from our middle school, River Road, we have Miss LaRaven Felton. She is our business management instructor. And then we have Miss Acacia Griffin Farabee from River Road Middle School. She's also a business management instructor. We have Mr. Samuel Stallings, who's from Elizabeth City Middle School. He is a business management instructor. We have Miss Naela White from Elizabeth City Middle School. She's a business management instructor. And now we're going to Pasquotank County High School, and we have a few that were unable to make it tonight. Miss Caitlin Scaff, who is an agriculture instructor for Pasquotank County High School. Miss Connie Whidbey Graham, she is a business management instructor from Pasquotank County High School. Miss Whitney Blow, she's our health sciences instructor from Pasquotank County High School. And we have one who is in Florida. She's having the national competition with DECA, Miss Marquita Williams Wiggins, and she's also from Pasquotank, our marketing instructor. Miss Trudy Nodgard, she's our food and nutrition instructor from Pasquotank County High School. Then we have Mr. Dale Smith. He is our firefighter technology instructor from Pasquotank County High School. And then we have Mr. Christopher Richley. He's our construction instructor from Pasquotank County High School. We have Miss Jennifer Simons from Northeastern High School, who was unable to make it tonight. along with Ms. Janae Robinson. She's an early childhood education instructor from Northeastern High School. Mr. Daniel Manzer is participating in soccer this evening. He's our agriculture teacher from Northeastern High School. And Miss Monica Manzer, our other agriculture teacher at Northeastern, is doing her plant sales, so she's unable to make it tonight. We have Mr. Tony Johnson. He's our Project Lead the Way instructor from Northeastern High School. We have Mr. Bruce Goodrich, our automotive technology instructor from Northeastern High School. We have Miss Jennifer Mitchell. She's our business management instructor from Northeastern High School. And that finalizes our fabulous staff from Career and Technical Education. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Awar Ferders Vasquez, and I'm in the 5th grade at J.C. Sawyer. On behalf of staff and students, we want to welcome you. It is an honor to be here with you today to greet you. I have been at J.C. Sawyer for 6 years, and although I will miss my time being here, I am looking forward to another stage of growth in my life as a middle schooler. Welcome again. I hope that you have a great meeting.
Good evening, and again, welcome to J.C. Sawyer. We're so excited that you're here, and we wanted you to hear that excitement through our students, not only the ones who are here, the ones who are in the audience, and then we have one of our students who are back there interning with Dexter, so we're excited about that. And so our first person that we would like to recognize is Miss Donnie Bryant. Miss Bryant, if you'll come up. Now, we're recognizing Ms. Bryant not just because she works in the cafeteria as our cafeteria manager, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot with what Ms. Bryant does because she also drives the school bus. So she comes in the morning early. She gets here about 6 o'clock. She has to start breakfast. And then after she starts breakfast, then she has to get on the bus. Then she has to go and do her bus route. Then she has to come back and do breakfast. And then she does that in reverse in the afternoon. So, Ms. Bryant, thank you for all that you do to take care of us here. The next person we recognize is Ms. Claudia Fergus Vasquez. If you'll come up, please. Ms. Fergus, I met her during the summer because she and I were talking about the idea that we needed to have a viable PTO at J.C. Sawyer. And so it started with her trying to do the work and then trying to talk with other officers. But we appreciate her and all of the work that she has done helping us to get our PTO organization off the ground, functioning well, and then supporting the babies and the parents at J.C. Sawyer. The next person is Ms. Catherine Copeland, who's another one of our PTO officers. We're asking her to come up because she took that early challenge and agreed to be a part of that founding body of officers who was going to work with us in our PTO. And so, Ms. Copeland, we thank you for all that you have done in, again, taking the service call. We recognize Ms. Brittany Patterson, who's another one of our PTO officers. Again, she took that early challenge to be one of our PTO founding officers. She also has a baby in third grade who's one of our smartest babies in third grade. But we appreciate her and all that she does to support us at J.C. Sawyer. And then we have another PTO officer, Ms. Tiana Morgan, if she'll come up. She is our treasurer, so she keeps all of us on our toes. And we're so thankful again for you for all the work that you've done to help us and our PTO to support our students, our parents, and our teachers. The next group that we would like to recognize, sometimes it's a little hard to get substitute teachers. So not only do our teacher assistants have to be teacher assistants, but a lot of times they have to be the substitute teachers. And so I'm going to call up Ms. Kimberly Taylor first. Ms. Taylor, if you'll come up. We're so thankful for what you do every day. And Ms. Taylor is not only a teacher assistant, a substitute teacher, but she also drives the school bus. And so we appreciate you and all that you do to support us here at J.C. Sawyer. Another one of our TAs that we want to recognize, who is also one of our substitute teachers, Mr. Mackay Williams. Please come up, Mr. Mackay. And we appreciate the fact that not only do they do the work, but they do it with that heart of service. So we thank you for all that you do to support us and the mission. The next TA that we want to recognize is Ms. Tiana Arthur. Ms. Arthur, would you please come up? All right, I don't see Ms. Arthur. So next we go to Ms. Anderson. Ms. Anderson, if you'll come up. Ms. Anderson, teacher assistant, substitute teacher, and now she is the interventionist who's working with our fifth graders with math to make sure that we achieve the bar that we've got to achieve. So thank you, Ms. Anderson, for all that you do. Next, we want to recognize Ms. Hunter Perry. Ms. Perry, are you here? Ms. Perry is one of our teacher assistants, substitute teachers. Ms. Perry had a baby. Ms. Perry took off 2 weeks, came back, and went right back to the classroom. So thank you, Ms. Perry, for what you've done and what you do every day and sharing your time with us, because we know it must be hard with a newborn, but she's here every day, and we appreciate the work that she does. Next, we recognize Ms. Blow. Ms. Blow, if you'll come up. Ms. Blow, teacher assistant, substitute teacher, and after school, works in the after school program. So thank you for what you do on the extended day here at J.C. Sawyer. Next, we want to recognize our school counselor, who's not a normal counselor because of all the things that she does and all the programs that she creates, in addition to the 10-step program. So I'm going to ask Ms. Abbott, if you'll please come up, for all that you do, for all the creativity that you bring. We appreciate you and all that you do in service to our babies. Next, we want to recognize one of our leaders in our EC department. We're going to ask Ms. Sears if she'll come up. She's a part of our leadership focus here at J.C. Sawyer, but also one of our key members of our EC department that works with our students, and also AIG certified and a lot of other things. If I were to, your resume is longer than mine. But thank you for all that you do, Ms. Sears, in supporting the work here at J.C. Sawyer. Now we start to, I want to recognize another key member of our school who's going to be retiring this year, and we're going to miss him a lot of years of service. I'm going to ask Mr. Figgs if he'll come up. Mr. Figgs is our music teacher. He's going to be retiring. He's now in his last days of education. And he says all he wants to do in life is just go downtown to Elizabeth City and fish, and so and play his keyboard at the waterfront. So thank you, Mr. Figgs, for what you've done, not only here at J.C. Sawyer, but your service to students over the years. We thank you for that. Next, we want to recognize some of the members of our leadership team. I'm going to ask Mr. Foreman if he would please come up. Mr. Foreman teaches art, but he's more than that. He's a mainstay. He's one of the key pillars at J.C. Sawyer. You'll see him out there directing traffic, calling out, because as you know, we have about 150 car riders. But he's out there every day, rain, sleet, hell or snow. He's out there, and we appreciate him and the work that he does to support J.C. Sawyer and the work that we've got to do here. Another one of our key pillars, Miss Christy Hornthal, if you'll come up, please. Miss Hornthal is one of our leaders, not just a leader in the kindergarten, but one of our leaders here at the school, and we appreciate you and all the work that you do to help our school run smoothly. Thank you. Another one of our key members of our leadership team who is our grade level chair in the first grade, I'm going to ask Miss Bray Miller if she'll come up. Ms. Bray Miller, we appreciate you and all the work that you do and all the focus that you bring on a daily basis to help us continue to move J.C. Sawyer forward. Next, we want to recognize another member of our leadership team, Ms. Diamond Brookins, if you'll please come up. Third grade teacher, but a real heavyweight when it comes to ELA and the work that she does, moving students. And so we're excited about you. We're excited about the work that you do on a daily basis for our students. Next, we want to bring up our grade level chair from the fourth grade, Ms. Huffman, if you'll please come up. Ms. Huffman is not only the grade level chair and a key member of our leadership team, but she also holds it down in the fourth because our fourth grade team is very new. This is all their first year. So we have 3 teachers first year, and then we have Ms. Huffman who's there representing them and providing that leadership. So we're so thankful for you, Ms. Huffman. Next, we want to recognize Ms. Amy Williams. She is a science teacher in the 5th grade, grade level chair of the 5th grade. She and I shared the opportunity. We both cried together when we found out that our student made it to state. But this is the teacher who is responsible, who crafted the whole plan and our strategy to get her to state. And so, Ms. Williams, we appreciate you and all that excitement and energy you bring to science. Next, we want to bring up our teacher of the year, Ms. J. Cox, first grade teacher, leader, teacher of the year. Ms. J. Cox, come up. Ms. J. Cox, we appreciate you and how you represent not only for the first grade, but for J.C. Sawyer. Thank you for all that you do. The next person that I would bring up, every school has a techie, a tech person who is deep into technology, who stays up at night thinking about all the tech things that can happen in a school to turn and to impact students. If you go in her classroom, it is the model of how technology should be used, could be used in a classroom. I'm going to ask Ms. Lime Cool if she'll come up. Tech expert, math teacher, 3rd grade. We appreciate all that you do to help our school to move forward. The next person that I would like to bring up is probably the hardest working person that I know, because she has 4 jobs, including working at J.C. Sawyer. I'm going to ask Miss Asia Kirkendall to come up. Miss Kirkendall, are you here? She is not here. She is the long-term sub that we brought in to work with us in the 5th grade. She's also in the reserves. She's also a full-time student at Elizabeth City who's working on her education degree, and she also works at a shoe store on the weekend. And so we wanted to recognize her for all of her hard work. The next 2 people, we want to recognize them as a group, because whenever you see them, they came to us as a group, and whenever you see them, they are a group. And so I'm going to ask Mr. Anderson and Ms. Congo to come up. They both are our global teachers. They're both from Jamaica, husband and wife, both teach math. He teaches math in the 3rd grade. She teaches math in the 5th grade. But we are so appreciative to the family that has come from Jamaica to impact our school. The last person that we would like to recognize is really the MVP of J.C. Sawyer. The person who holds it together is not, I'm not introducing myself, somebody who's even more of an inspirational leader, a person who brings it every day, who comes to work early, who leaves late, an instructional leader who's solid, who's focused, who brings the staff together. And I'm just so appreciative of the work that she does every day to help us to move forward. And so I'm going to ask my assistant, who's not really an assistant principal, she's really the co-leader. I'm going to ask the co-leader of J.C. Sawyer, Ms. Robinson, if she'll please come up. Thank you for all that you do for us and our babies here at J.C. Sawyer. Thank you, man. That concludes the recognitions. I know the next thing is we're about to go into the instructional highlights. And so I have a student who wants to come up and say a little bit about the video that you're about to watch. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Turner if she'll please come up. She's going to say a few words to you. And some of the things that she's going to say it won't make sense until after you see the video. So I'm going to ask her if she'll come up at this time.
Good evening. My name is Jalea Turner, and I am excited to be here with you today. My classmate Logan and I had a great time creating the video that you're about to see because it gave us a chance to express our talents with you. Now that we are famous, we're going to be making many more videos in middle and in high school. We hope you enjoy our video production.
Hi, I'm Logan, and welcome to J.C. Sawyer.
We are very happy to share our school with you today.
We are going to take you, yes, you, on a special tour of our school and interview some of the people who make our learning go great.
You know, Logan, I have been at JC Sawyer's for a long time now, and I have grown a lot. Now it's almost time to go to middle school. Crazy, right? What about you?
I know, it's crazy, because I have been at JC Sawyer for 6 years, and I've been working hard, and yes, I am ready for middle school. Are you ready for our tour, Julia?
In fact, yes, I am.
We are here with Miss Limecooler, one of our 3rd grade teachers. So, Miss Limecooler, how are you getting our students ready for the EOG?
Well, Logan, how we're getting these 3rd graders ready for the EOG is, we start day 1. We're thinking about how scary this is, so we want to prepare them. We give them some strategies to comprehend those problems. They got to understand what it's asking them, solve that math. Then, we talk about these strategies throughout the year. We bring the parents involved. We get them involved on academic nights. They learn how to use those strategies themselves, and then we just practice. We want to instill that confidence. And that's basically all we do.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Ms. Brookins, one of our 3rd grade teachers. Ms. Brookins, how do you set a strong foundation for your 3rd graders?
So for reading, what we do is we push the strategies from the day 1. As soon as we start with our Unreal strategy. And we have worked with it since the beginning of the school year, which has really, really pushed the students to become very comfortable with it, which has been amazing to watch. And we also do a lot of annotating, and I modeled that first, and then they kind of picked up on it, where they have come up with their own charts and things to do with their own annotating, and that's also been awesome to see.
This is one of our teachers from Jamaica. Ms. Congo, how does it feel to be working in America?
It is a great feeling. I am very elated to be a part of this institution. I have learned so much, and it is a wonderful experience for me to actually get to collaborate with the teachers and the students here. And I am more appreciative of the job that I do in educating the nation's children.
Thank you.
Now we are here in 5th grade science with Miss Williams. So, Miss Williams, what special things are we doing in science?
So in science, we have a lot of great things going on. We are doing a lot of hands-on things to get the kids connected with all of the content, connecting it with real world. We've also been doing a lot with the science fair. We made it to the state. We are very excited.
That's good to know.
We had a student that made it all the way to state. And we're just connecting a lot of the real world with the content, and that seems to be really working.
Well, thank you for telling me.
Last but most certainly not least, Mr. Foreman, our art teacher. Mr. Foreman, how do Connect classes help us grow as students?
I think in education it's very important for the emotional support and also just the hand-eye coordination that we work with to get the kids prepared to move on to the next level.
That's good.
The story we were going to talk about today was going to be Ariana and the track meet. But before we do that, I just want to take just a minute and talk to the people out there who are visiting with us. I'm Dr. Boykins, the principal of JC Sawyer. We're so excited that you had a chance to come and visit with us today. We're doing some special things at JC Sawyer, but it all involves the creative things that we do with the students. So we hope that you enjoyed your time with us today. Thank you again for visiting with us. All right, students, let's go back to our story.
Oh, we're back where we started.
I know that we only have a few days left before middle school, so we are getting ready.
Here's a special thanks to our teachers and others who help us every day to get smarter.
When you come to JC Sawyer, say hello to Julia and I.
So bye for now. We will probably see you again in middle school.
So see you later.
That concludes all of our recognitions and our instructional focus. I'm subject to your questions. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry, Dr. Boykins. I didn't play the music before you were going to get off stage. But I just wanted to congratulate you and your team and your students on all the good things you guys have done this year, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going to have Dr. Parker for the superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you, Dr. Boykins, and to everybody that was recognized here this evening. And I also want to say again to J.C. Sawyer and the students and staff to thank you for hosting us this evening and for setting up the wonderful demonstration we have here this evening. I want to share a couple of updates. The first I would share is we have 17 days, 17 instructional days until our final exams and EOGs and EOCs begin. And so I want to encourage all of our families and our students to take advantage of these last 17 days and let's really push hard and show everybody that great things really do happen right here in Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools. We have some really exciting things that are coming up over the next couple of weeks. And one of those is our SAT Award, which is the Superintendent's Academic Team. And we're very excited to recognize some of our young people that have demonstrated academic excellence. And we will be doing 2 recognitions this year. The first one will be tomorrow evening at the Pasquotank County High School Gymnasium. The second will be on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the Northeastern High School Gymnasium. And if your child was eligible to be recognized, then we send a notice and a letter. And if you have a question, then feel free to reach out to our school staffs and they can let you know if there'll be a recognition for your child. Tomorrow we have a really special event that I'm proud of, which is our Special Olympics, which has been organized by our Exceptional Children's Department. I want to thank Mr. Liverman and his team, Mr. Bill and Ms. Tamarelli and others that have worked to organize this with our teachers. And that is going to begin at 9 o'clock tomorrow at Northeastern High School. So really looking forward to attending that. We have 3 graduations that we'll be hosting this year, and our first will be the early college graduation, which will be on Saturday, May 20th at 10 o'clock in the COA auditorium. So if anybody has got a friend or loved one that we're recognizing, then we're looking forward to that. Our 2 traditional high school graduations this year, as they were last year, will be held at Elizabeth City State University Vaughn Center. And so we're looking forward to that. And one of the advantages of using our partnership with the university is that come rain or shine, we're going to have graduation. And come rain or shine, everybody pretty much is going to be able to get inside. And so we're really excited about that facility and being able to have a weather-friendly facility. And so Pasquotank County High School graduation will be on June the 2nd, Friday, June 2nd at 7 p.m., and then Northeastern's graduation would be the very next day, June 3rd, Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Vaughn Center. So very excited about that. And the last thing that I would share, Mr. Chairman, is the week of May 8th. May 8th through the 12th will be Teacher Appreciation Week here in North Carolina and nationally, and we are working very hard to plan some things to show our staff and our teachers just how much they mean to us. And so to the public and to anybody that is listening, I would encourage anybody, if they be inclined to show support or gratitude or recognition to a teacher, then feel free to do that. Contact your school principal or the school. If it's nothing else but just a simple card to say thank you for what you do, we certainly would invite the public and our families to show their appreciation for the amazing adults that come into our buildings every day. And so very excited, a very busy time coming up over the next couple of weeks. And so if you're interested on any of the events, you can check our website and find a summary of the events that I just listed and contact your child's school. But before we know it, we're going to blink our eyes and it's going to be June the 2nd. And we're moving very quickly, but a very exciting time of year and a lot of things to be proud and thankful for in Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes the announcements this evening.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a lot going on, so we're excited. Now I'm going to call on Ms. Wooten for the Student Board Members Report.
Good evening, everyone. So you kind of just highlighted a little bit on some of the things that I'm going to say, but I don't feel like there's been a lot going on in the school building. That's not saying that we are not busy, because I feel like this time of year is probably the most chaotic time of year for students and teachers. Teachers are trying to prepare everyone for exams coming up in 17 days. Okay, it's kind of scary. Then athletes, their sports seasons are coming to a close, and students are just kind of coming into the mindset of summer. I know I am. I'm ready for it. But it's just been a good time. Like, we have been very productive, and I hope in these next 17 days until exams that students will remain productive, as this is just the final stretch. The class of 2023 did, however, come together last Friday to discuss award ceremonies and the much-awaited graduation date and all of the things that go into that. We received our cap and gowns that day, and it is just an exciting time for seniors. It's a little bittersweet for some of us. Me and my friends, we actually went in the parking lot and took them out of the packages, and we're taking pictures in our cap and gowns. I was like, okay, June 30th. I'm ready for it. But I have just enjoyed the last 4 years that I've spent with the NHS student body. Half of it was online, so I was looking at Google Meet screens, but I think that it has made us all stronger individuals because of the challenges that we had to face, and many of them were overcome. So I just hope that in this next chapter of our lives, entering young adulthood, that we will all face life's challenges head on, and we won't look back unless we're looking back and reflecting on the things that we accomplished. So I'm just super excited for this next chapter in everyone's lives. I know mine is graduating from high school and becoming an educator. Other people's is maybe still finishing out high school, but I just hope that everybody will go into this next phase of life with their head held high, and they'll be productive and do what needs to be done. But I'm just excited to see what everyone is able to accomplish in their next chapters. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all the information you've been sharing with us. Because we can't get into the schools, so having a student board member there is a big help to us. Thank you so much. Now, before we go to the approval of the minutes, I see a lot of people moving and leaving, so if anybody wants to do their mass exit now, you're more than welcome. Good. All right. Oh. All right, now I'll ask for the approval, a motion to approve the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for March 27th and April 17th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Angela and a second by Ms. Sheila to approve the minutes for March 27, 2023 and April 17, 2023. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Preza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
Sharon Warden.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now it is time for the public comment section, and on the list we only have one person, Mr. Anthony Sawyer.
Hi, my name is Anthony Sawyer. As I told y'all last month, I've been fighting for reinstatement back on the football field for 25 months now. Gotten nowhere, did everything that I was supposed to do, went back 30 plus years on my record, got that expunged, was told that once I took care of that, everything would be back on track. I still got ignored. So as I was here last month, I told y'all, if y'all drop the ball on this, I will file a civil rights lawsuit. I didn't, the date went by. I didn't hear anything, so I went to Greenville. It was a long 88 miles. I tell y'all, there were 3 or 4 times I wanted to do a U-turn and just say, forget it. But God told me to keep pushing forward, so I did so. And 5 of y'all have been served, including your attorney. Only one I haven't got to is Mr. Ingram. No one will help me find out where he is. So I got to hold on to that for a while. Like I said, it's the last thing I wanted to do. And I know a lot of y'all's decisions were based on racial injustice or your political views or your despiteful out of me. But hey, like I said, I've been by the book this whole time. I've never come in here and lied to nobody. Even the 3 times I met with the superintendent, I never lied to him. But what I did do is tell you things you don't want to hear, and that's the truth. I'm gonna still give y'all up until jury selection to make this wrong or right. This was a witch hunt from day one. You know, you don't come back at somebody 17 years later for stuff that happened in 1991. And according to North Carolina law, it never even happened because it's expunged now. It's been a difficult time for me. I don't know what's going to happen. It's David against Goliath, really. It's me against a whole administration. I'm representing myself. But, you know, a lot of people tell me I don't have a chance, but you all know, no matter how much law degrees you have or how much common sense you have, this is going to be up to a jury. And it's not who's telling the truth, which is me. It's not who's telling lies and covering y'all's tracks, as he will be doing. It's about who can win over that jury. That's all that matters. That's up to y'all. If y'all want to go forward with this, you know, like I said, win or lose, this is going to hit the papers, it's going to hit the TVs. Do y'all want this exposure? All I ever wanted was reinstatement. That's all I wanted. I didn't want to run for no school board. Didn't want to be out here fighting for 25 months. But I am fighting for justice. Too many people died to give us that right. And I'm going to fight all the way. If I had to go to state Supreme Court, I will. Just want to thank y'all for your time, for y'all cut me off. But let's let y'all know this ain't no joke. So I don't know what this man might be telling y'all behind the scenes, but he's getting ready to earn his keep. God bless y'all.
Okay, that was the only public comment, so we now move to the other agenda items. And I would like to call on Ms. Sharon Wood for the chair of the Finance Department.
And I, in turn, am going to turn it over to Ms. Rachel Haynes, our Finance Director, so that she can take any concerns or questions about the materials that we've received in our emails.
Dexter, would you mind pulling up the presentation this evening, please? Thank you. Chair Spence, Committee Chair Warden, Vice Chair Dr. Williams, and board members, good evening. So tonight what we'd like to do is go through the highlights of the proposed budget that you've received last week. Next slide, please, Dexter. Okay, so we just want to talk a little bit about some of the factors that have a huge impact in our budget. So 2 factors that impact the budget are legislative increases and, of course, our ADM, or our average daily membership. So the budget that's presented this evening is based on the best planning information that we have. We're estimating a 4.25% pay increase for certified staff, an increase in our retirement rates from 24.5% to 24.62%, an increase in our hospitalization rate from $7,397 to $7,619, and a decrease in our ADM allotment from $48.69 to $46.82. So that's a 3.8% decrease, which has been factored in to this budget. Next slide. And Dr. Parker and I are sharing this.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. I want to also say thank you to Rachel and her team and our principals and our staff that contributed to our budget planning process. And I also want to say that this time of year, particularly for finance departments, is a marathon, and it doesn't stop until June 30th. When the fiscal year closes officially and begins new on July 1st. So, Rachel, thank you to you and your team for your hard work on this budget package. and for the work that you've put in here. And I'm very proud of the commitments we're making financially in Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools to support our staff and students. A couple things that we are prioritizing in this budget package is employee recruitment and retention. And so, as Rachel mentioned on the previous slide, there's in all the variations of the bills in the legislature, and I think it's a bipartisan consensus that we have to pay our teachers more. So I think you're going to see that come out of the state's budget. But in addition to that, locally and through funding sources we're looking for ways to incentivize, recruit, and retain our teachers. And Rachel's going to share some of the things we're doing for that. We're one of the few districts in this region that are offering signing bonuses for new teachers to come and work for us. And so that's just one example for bus drivers as well, for an array of employees. So that's something that we're looking at doing. We're also looking at supporting our teachers, as many of them now are gaining licensure in education through alternative programs, meaning that we have an increasing number of teachers that are becoming teachers but did not go to a college of education to become a teacher. But we're getting them through that process, and we have some options available right now through some grants and some other initiatives where folks can earn a teaching license or degree. And in some of those cases, majority of that degree and licensure can be fully paid for. And so there's a lot of incentives there that we want to use to say, come work in ECPPS, and we're going to support you to be able to have what you need as far as training. When we go to I think 2 slides down, we'll talk a little bit more about professional development. But I think one of the key things that is emerging in our work, in our focus groups, and some of the work we've been doing this year as we talk to folks is we want folks to come work here with us, but then we also want folks to stay with us. And a part of us demonstrating that we mean that is a commitment to invest in people, to take their talent and to grow that talent and invest in them. And you saw tonight that some of the staff from J.C. Sawyer that got recognized were a part of our Emerging Leaders program, and Dr. Boykins mentioned that. Ms. Sabrina Sears is in that cohort, one of our first Emerging Leaders cohort here, where we're taking our staff, using some funding we have, and providing customized, unique experiences for those emerging leaders to help grow them, to see that there are opportunities to become leaders, to build your career if you stay in ECPPS. We're looking at continuing to support our fine arts programs and our academic programs, and also our athletic programs. And one of the things that we've highlighted is some improvements in some of our athletic complexes, supporting our teams through upgraded equipment, jerseys, making sure that we have updated equipment in each of our athletic programs. We have some outstanding, high-quality athletic programs here, and particularly our 2 high schools that lead the way in many of our programs. And so we're making a commitment to invest in those programs, into the actual complex, the stadiums, but also making sure that the teams and the coaches have everything they need to fully resource and fund their teams, as well as our fine arts department, adding additional support and resources available to our fine arts and academic programs as well. The final thing I'll say here is we've also invested some time and energy into some operational efficiency studies. Some of those we've conducted internally, but then we also have a study going on right now where we've used some former superintendents, some industry professionals in finance and human resource who've spent about the last 2.5, 3 months with us, really just looking at everything we do in finance and human resources and making some recommendations on how we can even be better at the things we do well, but also making some recommendations on how we can improve in some areas where we're not as efficient as we want to be. And so I'm really excited about that work. And as we move into next budget year, a part of our focus is increasing our efficiency in all areas. I think we've made some progress this year in a lot of ways in that area. Our school buses are an example where we've made a lot of improvement, but there's also a lot of ways to go. in transportation as an example. So change over time is a focus and a theme, and these operational studies are an example of our commitment to that. Next slide, please.
So to talk a little bit about the employment and employee recruitment and retention efforts, the proposed budget would continue the additional supplement to teachers employed as of October 1st, 2023, who remain employed through the last day of the school calendar year with no break in service, the additional $400 supplement, which would be paid in June. In addition, the proposed budget would add a sign-on bonus for certified teachers employed as of October 1st, a one-time bonus of $1,000, and that's a recruitment bonus. The proposed budget increases the month of employment for assistant principals such that elementary school assistant principals will be extended to 11 months and middle and high school assistant principals would be extended to 12 months of employment. And the proposed budget is going to uncollapse our certified scale by 0.5%, capping steps at 30, including a step increase each year, which is going to come at a cost of about $250,000. Next slide.
And one quick point I'll make on that is the uncollapsing of the certified scale will mean that our non-certified staff will receive a pay raise faster. Rachel, I'm correct on that every non-certified staff will see an increase based on collapsing that scale.
Almost everyone, yes.
Yep.
There are some that, depending on where they're at in their step bracket.
Right.
It could be another year.
So we're excited about that, and that's a commitment of us continuing to try to increase and move toward a very competitive salary for our non-certified positions. And there's a lot of work to be done in that area, but I think this commitment is a solid first step to show that all the positions in this district matter, and we want to make sure everybody has a competitive wage.
Specifically related to transportation, the proposed budget would continue the bus driver sign-on bonus of $1,000 that was implemented in 2021-2022, and the ability to hire bus monitors for all buses. So we still do have those positions posted. In addition, the proposed budget would increase the monthly attendance bonus for bus drivers from $23 a month to $100 a month, and increase the annual attendance bonus from $250 to $1,000. So a bus driver could possibly receive up to a $2,000 bonus for perfect attendance. Next slide.
And I mentioned a little bit about the Emerging Leaders Program earlier. One of the things that we piloted and was our inaugural year this year was our first teacher workday in October. We dedicated and will continue to do that to our own in-house professional learning day for our staff, and we're calling it the Ignite Conference. It's something that's unique and specific here to ECPPS. In October, for our first one, we had over 80 sessions that were available to our staff, teachers, and we look to continue to do that. It's built into the calendar that the board approved for the next 2 years, and so one of the things that I've said to folks is we have everything we need to continue to improve our schools already right here in Elizabeth City. And so we're using our teacher leaders. One of the things that will be new to this year's Ignite will be our Emerging Leaders cohort. 31 of those emerging leaders will be presenting sessions. So that's going to be a leadership opportunity for those teacher leaders to lead a session. We're looking at, our goal is to have well over 100 sessions this year to really continue to grow that program, and the funding and investment in professional development is something that's highlighted in this budget package. Next slide. Will you take that one, Rachel, and talk about the capital there for a little bit?
So one of the things we're going to focus on that we've been focusing on, of course, is facility improvements, but our focus this year is going to be specifically to painting. We would like to do some extensive painting in all of our schools. To begin, roof restorations, some improvements to our athletic facility improvements, and we'll go through these again in a later slide, and just upgrade our stages. So we have 3 schools that we'd like to focus on upgrading of the stages with new curtains and lighting. And then, of course, we've been conducting inspiration visits to prepare for our strategic plan. Next slide, Dexter. As it relates to COVID funding, in total, we've received $28,274,256 worth of COVID funding. So most of that funding is coming to a close, and we plan to roll into 23-24 with the flexible COVID funding that we have of approximately $12 million. So of course, this has already been earmarked for projects and personnel costs. Next slide. So this graph is a snapshot of the estimated revenue for 2023-2024, and it does include the anticipated remaining COVID funds. The majority of our revenue comes from state funds, with local funding being the second largest funding source. Next slide. And this is the breakdown of the budget by purpose code, and as you can see, the majority of our funding, 68.38%, is budgeted to be spent on instructional services. Next slide. So taking into the account the priorities of 2023-2024, we anticipate our local current expense budget to be $12,549,000. So this would include requesting funds from the county of $11,364,000, other revenue that we plan to receive of $185,000, and then budgeting $1 million worth of fund balance. Next slide. This graph shows the proposed local budget by purpose code. As you can see, of the total proposed local current expense budget, 51.06% is estimated to be spent on system-wide support and 38.13% on instructional services. Next slide. So the request for capital funding for this year is $2,095,000 and includes the items listed above. We've placed an emphasis on painting, beginning roof repairs. We've selected 2 schools, upgrades to stages of 3 schools, and bathroom upgrades for the athletic facilities at Northeastern, stadium bleacher repairs at Northeastern, and painting the ceiling in the gym at Pasquotank County High School. So the details of the capital budget are included in the 2023-2020 through 2028 capital plan that you received last week. And next slide. One more. So our total request to the county is $13,459,000, with $11,364,000 as operating and $2,095,000 as capital. So, Ms. Warden, we'd like to request approval to proceed with submitting this funding request to the county. Are there any questions? Next slide, Dexter. Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to.
If there is no discussion or questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve FBT-02, Superintendent's Proposed Budget and Related County Funding Request, and Capital Plan for 2023 through 2028.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Sharon Warden and a second from Ms. Angela Cobb. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. We can continue.
Now you want to move on to our next items, which has to do with furniture quotes, and then do you want to go ahead and go through the other items, and then we'll ask for a motion for all of them?
Yes,
okay. Camera system additions and P.W. Moore bleacher quotes. Okay.
The next item on the agenda, FBT-03, is furniture quotes. You have in your packet quotes for Sheep Harney, ECMS, River Road, Northeastern, and Pasquotank County High School. All schools will receive some furniture, but the quotes that are in your packet were those that are over $50,000. So this is for collaborative classroom furniture. It's set such that it's castered on 2 sides so that it can be moved around easily to create collaborative learning environments in the classroom. And they will have some color edges to match the schools. So they're gray topped with some color edges. And then, of course, new stacking chairs to go with these tables. Are there any questions on the furniture quote?
You said that these are just the ones that are over a certain amount. What will the other schools be receiving?
All the other schools will be receiving the same type of collaborative furniture. It's just their individual quotes didn't exceed the $50,000,
Gotcha.
but we've budgeted approximately $500,000 for classroom furniture
So similar
upgrades.
equipment,
Yes,
just didn't come with the amount?
Yes,
of-
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. There we go. Can you help me understand something? When you get a quote, I guess you send the bids out, you get quotes back. Once we get them back, is there any more negotiating on those quotes, or we just take what the lowest bid is?
It all depends. It depends on the process we're using. So for this furniture here, this is being purchased off a state contract. So it's already been put out for bid by the state. But then we do negotiate with the vendors at that point to get the best rate that we can.
Okay, because I just look at some of the items and I just looked at, and some of them were cheaper, especially when you get a larger quantity than the price that was quoted on that we had on the quote. So I wasn't sure, because I did see in red, it was a state contract quote. Can you negotiate, if the state's already bid it, can we still even do more negotiating?
It depends, but yes, sir, usually they will work with us on some of that rate.
Okay.
So of course, when we take that into consideration, we need to make sure it's definitely like furniture. So, you know, like brand, like
Model numbers and all that
specifications,
stuff.
yes.
Yep.
Because the furniture that the state bids, there are specifications for furniture that have to be that we have to abide by. And so if it's bid through the state, all those specifications are written into that bid.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
have one quick question, Ms. Haynes. So the furniture, is it pretty much going to be at the discretion of the building administrator as to how they use it, or is it earmarked for something specific like the media center or a classroom setting?
This was not earmark specific. Mr. Lane reached out to each building administrator and talked to them specifically about what they wanted within
Good.
this amount, wanting to give all schools some new furniture.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any other questions on the furniture quotes? The next item on the agenda is FBT 04, and this is the camera system addition quote. So the combined quotes with the warranties comes to $91,438.71. They are broken out in your packet, Pasquotank County High and Northeastern, with Pasquotank County High is coming in at $41,333.12, and Northeastern's being $50,105.59. So these are those additional camera systems for the outsides that we've discussed. So for Pasquotank, it would be those field areas behind the building. And again, for Northeastern, similar to cover that, I don't want to say dead space, but that space where we don't have any camera coverage at this time. So we'll be using capital technology funds to make this purchase. Are there any questions on the camera quotes?
This is the same camera systems that are
Yes,
already
ma'am.
in place?
This is just an addition
In
to
addition
the
to.
existing camera system. So for Pasquotank, one of them is actually going to be installed at ECMS to point towards Pasquotank. So we stayed with the same company because it's the same system and it's an add-on to that system. Are there any questions on any other questions on the camera system? That's the installation cost, so it's travel for the installation. And moving on, the final quote, FBT 05, is the P.W. Moore bleacher quote. This is to replace the bleachers that are in P.W. Moore's gym, of course. This was bought off of a cooperative purchasing agreement. This is the same company we used for the bleacher replacement at Northeastern High School. So are there any questions on the bleachers for P.W. Moore?
Just one quick one. Do we know what the floors look like under what's existing, and are they going to have to do anything to those floors?
We are replacing the floors as well with the same company that did the floors at Northeastern and Pasquotank. So that's part of the project.
And the completion date, the expected completion date for this is?
I'll have to call and find out for you.
Okay.
Are Are there any other questions on any of the quotes that have been presented? Ms. Warden, if there are no questions, that concludes my request.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haynes. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the furniture quotes for Sheep Harney, ECMS, River Road, Northeastern, and Pasquotank County High. I would also like to move that we approve the exterior camera system quotes for both Pasquotank and Northeastern High School, and to approve the bleacher quote at P.W. Moore.
Second.
Could we have a motion for Ms. Sharon Warden, a second by Mr. Rodney Walter? Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams?
Yes.
Angela Cobb?
Yes.
Tommy Old?
Yes.
Pam Pereza?
Yes.
Rodney Walton?
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Ms. Haynes, and your staff for all that you do. And that concludes the financial report.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to call on Ms. Pam Pereza, Chair of the Personalized Education.
Okay, thank you. We're going to ask Ms. Sheila Overton, our Director of CTE, to come up and present the CTE plan for us.
I stand before you again this evening to share with you our CTE local plan. And I just wanted to share before I got started that this plan is for the 2023-24 school year. So our comprehensive local needs assessment is done every 2 years. And with that assessment, we're able to gather the information that we need over a 2-year span, so from 2022 up into 2024. With that being said, this is the same exact plan that the school board, ECPPS board members, and the Department of Instruction have already approved. And so we're just going through a renewal approval process. I did add, though, one addition, and if you will take a look, if you would like, on pages 38 and 39, we would like the spring of 2023-24, we would like to add a career exploration lab to both of our middle schools. And it will pretty much consist of modules and stations that will align with our career pathways at our high school level. So other than that addition, it's the same exact plan from last year. And so I ask this evening, if you have no questions, if you have questions, I will entertain them, but if not, if you guys could make an action.
I have questions.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
So I was not a member of the board last year when this was approved. So I am in the learning phase.
Yes.
And looking at this from a lens of being in a building versus being on the board, and now looking at it as being on the board. So I went through and took a look and had several questions to help myself become more familiar with the process from a board member perspective. So the first question that I have is, who had input or helped you in the formulation of this plan?
Well, that's what the comprehensive local needs assessment consists of, all stakeholders. So we actually surveyed our students, principals, exterior business colleagues, our support staff, our teachers. So it was a combination of a variety of internal and external stakeholders to help with this plan.
Okay, so it wasn't just a one-person plan?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay. And these questions are kind of in the order as I went through and took a look at it. To focus on some of the academic disparities, a lot of meetings were referenced. I think there were meetings to talk about literacy, strategies with reading, or strategies with math. Are those meetings, are the minutes for those meetings housed somewhere?
With the PLCs that the teachers have every month, and actually Northeastern have them twice a month, and Pasquotank have them every week. There are minutes that we capture that information in our support staff. We talk about that information, and it's a collaborative event.
Because I'm thinking about, maybe people that couldn't be at the meeting, or, using that resource for vertical planning even, having those strategies, if they work well in CTE, they're going to work well in a regular academic classroom, in an English classroom or math classroom. Okay. I noticed one of the things in the document talks a lot about using student organizations as a strategy to help promote and give all students opportunities. Do we pay stipends to our advisors?
We do not, but that is something that we are looking at. Actually, we just had a recent meeting, our Northeast Directors meeting, where they are giving us opportunity to begin paying stipend.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that I am going to look at for next fiscal year.
Okay. And again, I don't want you to feel like you're in front of the firing squad. I'm just trying to make sure in my head I'm learning what I need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so another area there, and because we are focusing as a district on recruitment and retention, for new CTE staff recruitment and retention, I know there are a lot of facets that go into supporting CTE teachers that are a little different than supporting academic teachers in English, math, those kinds of areas. So with the CTE new teachers, your CIMC supports.
CIMC support, director support, all of the support staff support,
Okay.
because they're in that role to support.
Right.
In addition to our beginning teacher program that we
Of
have
course,
that
of
gives
course.
additional support.
Of
The
course.
director and the beginning teacher coordinator, we work closely together. If there's any concerns that she may have or I may have, then we toggle off of each other in addition to our CIMC.
Okay, but the principal evaluates.
That is correct. And we also collaborate with the principal.
Okay. Okay, that. Who evaluates the support staff?
The CTE director.
Is it the same process? Is it the same process as a teacher process?
No, it isn't. Every support staff member has a different evaluation tool, so the process looks
So it's
different.
not a NESIS support? Okay. So this plan basically is a plan where you do a needs assessment to find out what our district needs, and then you look at funding and supporting funding to support our needs. Is that pretty much the gist of it?
Pretty much.
Okay. So when I look at like the area on here that I looked at, and I know this was done last year, I think there was and I'm trying to think about what page it's on, but there was a suggestion about one of the pathways that Perkins money was going to fund was the teacher prep program.
Teaching as a profession, that is correct.
But we're not offering that.
That is correct. What happens in a situation like that, because this is a 2-year plan, we understand that those funds were to support that cause. Now, next year, when we do another comprehensive local needs assessment, then part of that assessment is to assess the fact that we could not be successful with that teaching as a profession. So then it will change. But when we itemize our funds, you will then take a look and see that those funds would not support the area because we don't have students that were interested in the program.
Okay, and then the other area of that was buying supplies and program enhancements for some of the other CTE areas, but there wasn't really a what those were.
Well, that comes in our itemization with our budget.
Okay, and so when we looked in this packet and it says that there's not a budget that's been received, there's not, so that, when does that come into play in the timeline?
Whenever our finance officer tells us that it's here. At some point, when will the federal budget come in, is what she's wanting to know.
No, I'm not concerned about the money figure. What are we spending it on is more what I'm concerned about. Like, what are those things that we're spending on that are going to be tied to the career pathway?
Program needs. So what happens is teachers will submit a wish list, if you will, based upon needs that they desire in the classroom, and then myself as CTE director and paying attention to all of the program areas we also, or I also assess needs to modernize our programs. When I do my walkthroughs and have conversations with our program teachers, then we have those conversations to see, you know, what do they need, looking at equipment, looking at anything that may make our program or enhance our program. And that's where the funds go. It also goes towards professional development. It goes towards any other need that we see fit. Our CTE Careers Day that we just had, 5th grade Careers Day, field trips, all of those facets.
But none of that, and I'm thinking from my federal standpoint of like Title I, none of that has to be spelled out, like these are the things we're gonna spend that money on?
Not in this plan, no ma'am.
Okay. The only other thing, and I know that's a lot, but like I said, that I take seriously what I got to put my signature on, so the only other thing that I was concerned about and that had some questions about, at the end of the document, there are these assurances and certifications that we as board members are required to say we are going to uphold or whatever. And there were 2 of them that I really just wasn't sure about. The first one says, each local board of education shall be assisted by a business advisory council in performance of its duties to provide career and technical education. Who is that?
So we have a CTE Business Advisory Board, and we meet twice a year. And so that consists of the superintendent or designee. It consists of a principal designee. It consists of business individuals. It consists of a community college representative, the CTE director, and we all come together twice a year and we talk about what the concerns or good moments of CTE is. I pretty much give them a report, and then they advise us based upon the needs that they see.
So who is that? Like, I mean, I get the
Do you
who
want
they,
the actual board
yes,
the
who
members?
is that?
Okay, so of course, our superintendent, Ms. Rhonda James Davis, Dr. Tolson, Robin Zimsmeister from COA, NC Works, what is her name? She just joined that role. Oh, gosh. I can't think of her name right now. I don't want to call it incorrectly, but we have the assistant director from NC Works who also supports us. We have our chief, Chris Carver, who supports us. We have Mike, he just joined us from health. He's a health sciences representative from COA as well. I will get you those last 2 names, and then we have a parent representative.
So is there any other business represented other than the healthcare field?
Fire and the healthcare, so public safety and healthcare.
Okay.
Now, we are soliciting. Now, if you all know of other members, the legislation says we have to have 9, and we have those 9, but if there are more members that you are aware of that would like to be a part of our CTE advisory board, we are more than happy to have more members.
Do they meet twice a year, so have they already met for the spring?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
We
And
met on the 16th.
Are those minutes housed anywhere?
Yes.
Okay, so how can, one of the reasons I'm asking a lot of these questions is one of the committees that I'm on is dealing with global learning and dealing with, and I've been on these inspiration visits and seen what CTE can do and how wonderful things are going to be, and I want to be able to tie some of that into what we're doing in our community. So that meeting would be a wonderful opportunity to see where the thoughts are. That's why I'm asking where you can find that information.
I can get that for you if you would like.
And then the other one is, the other piece of that is this one right after it. It says that the local school administrative unit shall offer work-based learning opportunities. And so I'm thinking, okay, what are those? What are work-based learning opportunities?
Okay, so work-based learning opportunity comes in a variety of different opportunities. It can be either through job shadowing, which we offer that in our early childhood education, and we used to offer it in health sciences, and we will again once we're up and running with that piece again. It can be in CTE advanced studies. It can be in pre-apprenticeships. It can be And those are really the main three that we work with now. And I will tell you, even though I may be a little ahead of myself, but I'll share it anyway because this is something that we've been talking about, and that is providing more CTE advanced studies, pre-apprenticeship opportunities for our students. So that is something that we are talking through right now.
So do we offer internships, co-op, or apprenticeship programs right now?
We currently do, yes. Early childhood education offers it. We do not offer any co-op at this moment. And so again, the two that we offered was early childhood education and also health sciences, but that has been in just a little pause for now.
Okay. Do we know how many students participate in those work-based learning opportunities? Like, do we have the statistics of, I know Ms. Robinson does what she does with early childhood. Do we have a number of students?
Well, right now, Ms. Robinson currently has 22 students that are currently going to P.W. Moore and Pasquotank Elementary School for their job shadowing opportunity. Keep in mind that these opportunities only work for a certain level of student. They have to have the skill set. So once they become maybe that concentrated student, or whether they, in Ms. Robinson's case, it's the level 1 students, then they're afforded the opportunity to have those job shadow hours, if you will.
Okay. So with this last part and these assurances and certifications, there's not a way really to do an addendum that says these things have changed since, for instance, we're not doing 2 work-based opportunities right now because we're only doing early childhood. We're not doing teacher preparation because the numbers weren't there to do teacher preparation. So they really aren't happening.
Well, what happens is this. Under Perkins 5 and this comprehensive local needs assessment, as long as the district has met 90% or above their benchmark in all 8 of their performance indicators, at least once in 2 years, consecutively 2 years, which we have, then it shows that the plan is working. And with that being said, there's no major need for change, or they don't recommend a change in the plan until we go again with our comprehensive local needs assessment, which will take place next year. When I stand before you again next year, the plan will look totally different based upon my CLNA.
Thank you for answering my questions.
You are welcome. Yes.
How many active CTSOs do you have right now besides FFA and Marquita's Marketing, DECA?
We still only have the FFA and the DECA. That has been a challenge for us, and if you can see under the CTSO rating, that wasn't rated very high because I'm not quite sure, other than I'm going to say fear, and we will continue to give CTE teachers the support that we think they need. I think they think to have a CTSO means I have to be in competitions, and it's not necessarily the case. So what we're trying to do is support them to understand, just start the CTSO. We can have a local CTSO, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to engage in any type of regional or national competitions at that point until they become more comfortable. So that is still a work in progress. Any further questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you are open for more businesses. So did they just email you directly?
Yes, sir.
And what's the next time frame where you're looking to entertain those businesses?
So what we will do at this point, if we receive those businesses, then we're going to have another, what we're going to consider an entrance meeting early September, and we will bring those names to that particular meeting before our routine fall meeting for next year.
Got it. Perfect.
Yes.
In reference to that, have you approached or the Chamber of Commerce in reference to getting some businesses involved with your as many business teachers as you have? I would think we'd be able to get at least a couple of local businesses that would be willing to be part of that.
Well, that has been recent talk on the table. Historically, we have not really been able to have or to tap into the Chamber of Commerce as the opportunity will prevail for us to do now. Any other questions? If not, I ask that the board take action on this plan, please.
Okay, are there other questions from the board? Anyone? All right, at this time, I make a motion to approve PE 01 Career and Technical Education Plan.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Ms. Pam Perez and a second by Mr. Rodney Walton to accept PE 01. If there's no further discussion, I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams?
Yes.
Angela Cobb?
No.
Tommy Old?
Yes.
Pam Pereza?
Yes.
Rodney Walton?
Yes.
And Sharon Warden?
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, I'd like to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Overton, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm so used to Hughes, I'm sorry. Now I'd like to call on Mr. Tommy Old for the long list of policies, Policy Committee Chair.
Defer to Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Committee Chairman Old. A couple of things I'll mention on the policy. So we do have some policies we've listed for a second read, which will be taking for action at the committee board meeting in May, but then there's a couple of policies that we're asking the board to waive the first read and take action on tonight. But let me just say a little bit about the policies generally. So myself, Ms. Pam Parker, Ms. Rhonda James Davis, who is not here tonight and attending a professional conference, have been doing some work on our policy manual, and we work in conjunction with the North Carolina School Boards Association, who helps us monitor policy revisions, changes in statute, and regulation. And so what you see on the agenda tonight is a culmination of some work we've been doing over the past couple of months, but also a collaboration with the North Carolina School Boards Association. A general theme in this list of policies are many of them contain very minor updates that include, for example, some of the policies include changing the hyperlink at the bottom of the policy because the link to the statute or NCDHS or so forth changed. So you'll notice that that's there. And when you look in the link to the policy, you'll notice that all the policy revisions will have track changes. So if anything was taken out, it'll be marked through, and if anything is added, it'll typically be in a color blue. So that helps you know what was taken out and then what is a suggested change. And you'll notice in many of those that there are some minor changes. A couple updates I'll just summarize quickly on the second read. So 1510, 4200, and 7270 removes some COVID language. As the board knows and remembers, the Strong Schools Toolkit has been discontinued by Department of Public Health, and so some of these policies are us removing some of that language referencing Strong Schools Toolkit in the board policies. There's some languages in here that refer to our technology program and online instruction, which is just very limited in some legal updates, in some things that have changed in the Department of Public Instruction. 3220 has some updates that include specifically referencing the North Carolina Digital Learning Plan, which has recently been passed by the State Board of Education. And so you'll notice in that policy, it just adds some of that language in and components there to that. Ms. Godfrey and a team of our instructional leaders have actually been working on trying to infuse and incorporate some of those new standards in the North Carolina Digital Learning Plan into our work. Mr. Fudge and Mr. Fumble have been a part of that as well. Again, on the second read, some minor things in the student promotion accountability, minor changes in statute. There are several policies that update some language that reference provisions and protections that are exclusive to military families that have been updated in general statute. And so 3620 is an example of that. Some language that's included there, 4050, 4100, 4110, all have some language, 4155, that deals with provisions for military families. And then some other minor components in the other policies as well. 7130, the licensure policy, references some updates that are required but also recommended for some changes that are happening and are continuing to happen with the state licensure process. And so that policy was kind of in dire need of just updating some things, not adding anything new that's not happening, but just bringing the policy up to date with some of the evolution that's been going on in the state licensure system right now. And then 7510 removes the COVID language from the leave policy. So just a kind of a quick overview there of some general things to look out on the second read. I know that's a rather lengthy list of policies, but I think when you look at it, you'll notice that for many of them, there are some minor changes that are just very technical. Before I talk about the policies we're asking the board to do action on tonight, any questions on second read or anything on those policies there? Appreciate the board's attention on that. There are 6 policies that we're asking the board to waive first read and take action on tonight. So I'll speak to the first that deals specifically, one references the board. So 2130 has just got a minor update to the hyperlink, as I mentioned, and that's the board member compensation and expenses. So it does not include a raise for the board or change anybody's salary. So we'll just make sure the general public knows that. But that is just changing a hyperlink there on that. For 6230 school meal and competitive food, there was a typo in section B3 that's been updated, and then the legal references around the child nutrition program been updated in the footnotes. And 7360 includes some updates to hyperlink that's on crowdsourcing. So those are 3 that we're asking the board to look at tonight. 4270 and 6145 has some updates that reference the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and some of the requirements that are now in place for all athletes and families of athletes to complete a concussion training series. That's a requirement by the Athletic Association. And then there's some updates to some legal references in the footnotes on 4270. And then I'll speak to 4130, which is our discretionary admission policy. And so the school board is recommending an update to some language in our discretionary admission. So students can be enrolled in our school system 2 ways. They can live here in Pasquotank County and be what the policy refers to as domiciled, and live here with their custodial guardian, or they can live in a surrounding county or even live here without those requirements and be admitted on a discretionary basis. The school boards has pointed out some rather lack of clarity in the general statute that references the authority of the superintendent to admit on a discretionary basis. So the school board is recommending that for students that are recommended or approved by me to be admitted on a discretionary basis, that the Board of Education become a final approver on those students that are requesting to come here. And so that is referenced in that. And then the second part that is a major change in 4130 is it also includes some language that's required by school boards where collaborating boards would approve the release of kids going to another school system, and then the receiving school systems board would approve the entry of those students. And so that language is reflected in here, and we work with School Boards Association to be able to draft that. So the major change there would be for students that are requesting discretionary admission, we'll be bringing those to the board to vote on those in the meetings, and then also the board would be voting on a release of student information when they are going into other school systems. Some of our neighboring counties have adopted this language as well, and so districts across the state are beginning to adopt that. Before I talk about the last one we're recommending on first read, any questions on 4130, the discretionary admission? think that one's the one out of all these on first read that has the most direct impact on the board. Ms. Tanya Proctor and our team will organize all of this information when we have it and make sure the board has those when they're there. Final one we're asking for on first read tonight is 3460, which updates some language for graduation requirements. No new graduation requirements, but just updating some language in there to reflect the fact that this year some things took effect for our current ninth graders. So we update some language that's outdated language, and then there's some updates and some legal references in the footnotes as well. So the three that we're asking the board to move on tonight to waive the first read and to take action on are 3460, 4130, 4270, 6145, 2130, 6230, and 7360. If there are any questions on any of those, I'd be glad to take any clarification or questions the board might have.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend Board Policy 2420, adoption of policies, and waive the first read of the following policies: 3460, 4130, 4270, 6145, 2130, 6230, and 7360, 8225.
Second.
Was that you? Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Tommy Oles, a second by Ms. Pam Pereza. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
So moved.
Next, I have a motion to approve policies 3460, 4130, 4270/6145, 2130, 6230, and 7360/8225.
Second.
Get a motion by Mr. Tommy Old, second by Mr. Rodney Walton. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
Thank you, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Committee Chairman, and thank you to the board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking action on those policies tonight. The last one we have is a policy that is on second read tonight. We presented this to you in committee last week, and that is policy 8600, which is a payroll policy procedure, which just clarifies in policy an action that finance and the superintendent have to execute bonuses and supplements for employees. And so what we're going to be doing with this policy, if approved by the board tonight, is adding a regulation that will specify the PRC 071 bonuses that come from the state, and clarifying our process for distributing those bonuses. And so this would be a new policy to the manual that we're asking the board to add tonight, which would then allow us to add the regulation of the process we'll have for awarding those bonuses. Any questions on 8600?
I'd like to make a motion to approve PC-01 Policy 8600 Payroll Procedures.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Tommy Old, second by Ms. Angela Cobb. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
All right, that appears to be all for policy. Thank you, Dr. Parker.
Thank you.
And Mr. Tommy Old, Chair. Now I'd like to call on Dr. Sheila to take us into closed session, please.
A motion for the board to go into closed session as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A6, for the purpose of considering one or more personnel matters that are confidential under NC General Statute 115C through 320, and as allowed by the NC Statute 143 through 31811A3, to consult with the board attorney regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege and to preserve that privilege.
You got a second, please?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Motion by Dr. Sheila and a second by Mr. Rodney Walton to go into closed session. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes?
Angela Cobb.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Pam Pereza. Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Sharon Warden.
Yes.
So moved.